They were some of Hollywood's biggest stars. Award-winning actors, beloved talk show hosts, chart-topping singers, and media icons admired by millions around the world. But behind the fame, the luxury mansions, and the carefully crafted public images, a very different story was often unfolding. One allegedly threw a phone at a hotel employee. Another was accused of creating a toxic workplace. One superstar's leaked rant shocked the entire film industry, and another became the center of one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood history. Yet none of them may surprise you as much as number 7, a celebrity whose behavior behind the scenes left even longtime fans stunned. So how did some of the most successful people in entertainment become some of the most disliked? And which celebrity earned the title of Hollywood's biggest jerk? Let's begin. 25. Tom Cruise. For more than 4 decades, Tom Cruise has been one of Hollywood's biggest stars. From Top Gun to the Mission Impossible franchise, he built one of the most successful careers in movie history. At the peak of his success, Cruise's net worth was estimated at more than $600 million. He owned a Gulfstream IV private jet worth around $20 million, a rare P-51 Mustang fighter plane, and luxury vehicles, including a Bugatti Veyron 16.4 and a Porsche 911 Targa. His real estate portfolio featured a 320-acre estate in Telluride, Colorado, later sold for nearly $40 million, along with a luxury penthouse in Clearwater, Florida. He was also known for wearing Cartier watches, including a solid gold Cartier Santos. Combined with blockbuster salaries and profit-sharing deals from the Mission Impossible franchise, Cruise became one of Hollywood's wealthiest and most influential stars. But even that success couldn't protect him from controversy. In 2020, while filming Mission Impossible 7, Cruise discovered several crew members violating COVID safety protocols. Furious, he launched into a profanity-filled rant that was secretly recorded and leaked to the public. The audio quickly became international news. "You can tell it to the people who are losing their homes because our industry is shut down," Cruise shouted before delivering the warning heard around the world. "If I see you do it again, you're gone." For nearly 3 minutes, he berated crew members, while others stood silently listening. The recording instantly divided public opinion. Supporters argued he was protecting hundreds of jobs and a production worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Critics believed it revealed a superstar, accustomed to complete control and unquestioned obedience. The incident revived years of stories about Cruise's private behavior and highly controlled public image. Combined with ongoing scrutiny surrounding Scientology, it reinforced the perception that the charismatic action hero audiences admired on screen might be very different behind closed doors. Tom Cruise remains one of Hollywood's most successful actors, but for many critics, that leaked recording revealed a side of the superstar that no blockbuster movie ever could. 24. Ellen DeGeneres. Few television personalities have ever enjoyed the level of popularity Ellen DeGeneres reached during her reign over daytime television. For years, her show attracted millions of viewers and helped transform her into one of the most recognizable figures in American entertainment. The rewards of that success were enormous. Ellen's net worth was estimated at more than $500 million. Her real estate empire included the $49 million Saltzman estate in Montecito, the historic Rancho San Leandro equestrian estate, and a Beverly Hills mansion later sold to Adam Levine for $45 million. Her garage reportedly featured a Porsche 911 GT 3 RS, a Ferrari Roma, and a custom Land Rover Defender. She was also known for collecting luxury watches, including a Patek Philippe Grand Complications 5270p, a Rolex Daytona Paul Newman Ref 6263, and an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo. Combined with her lifestyle brand, Ellen DeGeneres, she became one of Hollywood's most successful businesswomen. From the outside, it looked like she had everything. Then, former employees started sharing a very different version of the story. In 2020, reports began surfacing about what staff members described as a toxic workplace behind the Ellen DeGeneres show. Former employees alleged an environment marked by intimidation, favoritism, and fear. Some claimed they were discouraged from speaking directly to Ellen, while others alleged complaints about workplace misconduct were ignored by management. The controversy exploded after comedian Kevin T. Porter encouraged social media users to share their experiences with Ellen online. Thousands responded, Stories from former employees, audience members, and industry insiders quickly spread across the internet, turning workplace allegations into a major public relations crisis. The backlash became so severe that Warner Media launched an internal investigation into the show's culture. Several senior producers later departed following misconduct allegations, while Ellen publicly acknowledged that problems had existed behind the scenes. Supporters argued she was being blamed for actions carried out by producers and managers. Critics believe this scandal exposed a stark contrast between the kindness she promoted on television and what employees allegedly experienced away from the cameras. Ellen DeGeneres remains one of television's most successful personalities. But for many critics, the workplace scandal permanently changed how they viewed the woman who spent years telling America to be kind. 23. Oprah Winfrey. Long before social media influencers and streaming celebrities dominated the spotlight, Oprah Winfrey built one of the most powerful media empires in American history. For decades, her name carried enough influence to turn books into bestsellers and guests into household names almost overnight. Her empire extended far beyond television. Oprah's net worth was estimated at more than $3 billion. Her luxury portfolio included the famous Promised Land estate in Montecito valued at over $100 million, more than 1,000 acres of land in Maui worth an estimated $80 million, and a private Gulfstream G650 jet valued at roughly $70 million. She also owned luxury vehicles, including a Tesla Model S Plaid, a Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren, and a customized Cadillac Escalade ESV. Combined with Harpo Productions, OWN, and major investments such as Weight Watchers, Oprah became one of the most powerful media moguls in the world. Everything appeared to be going perfectly until a disaster in Hawaii placed her immense wealth under an uncomfortable spotlight. Following the devastating Maui wildfires in 2023, Oprah partnered with Dwayne Johnson to launch a relief fund for victims and encouraged public donations. The goal was to provide direct financial assistance to families who had lost homes and businesses. Instead, the campaign sparked immediate controversy online. Many social media users questioned why two celebrities worth billions of dollars were asking ordinary Americans to donate money. Critics pointed directly to Oprah's massive Maui land holdings and multi-billion-dollar fortune, arguing that someone with such extraordinary wealth should have contributed more personally before turning to the public. Videos criticizing the campaign quickly accumulated millions of views, while comment sections filled with accusations that wealthy celebrities had become disconnected from everyday people. Supporters pushed back, noting that the fund successfully raised millions of dollars and delivered aid to affected families. Critics saw something very different. To them, the controversy highlighted a growing frustration with billionaire celebrities asking for public contributions while possessing enormous fortunes themselves. Oprah Winfrey remains one of the most successful media figures in history, but for many critics, the Maui backlash proved that even decades of goodwill can be tested when public perception suddenly shifts. 22. Julia Roberts. Few actresses have enjoyed the kind of Hollywood success Julia Roberts achieved. From Pretty Woman to Erin Brockovich, she became one of the most bankable stars of her generation and one of the highest-paid actresses in film history. Success brought Julia a fortune estimated at more than $250 million. Her property portfolio included a $30 million Malibu oceanfront mansion, a historic Victorian estate in San Francisco, and a ranch in Taos, New Mexico. She drove vehicles such as the Mercedes-Benz GL Class and Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, while earning tens of millions through endorsement deals, including a reported $50 million contract with Lancome. Roberts also represented luxury brands such as Chopard and frequently appeared in custom designs from Givenchy and Giorgio Armani. By then, she had become one of Hollywood's most successful actresses. Yet not everyone who worked with Julia Roberts saw the charming movie star the public admired. One of the most persistent criticisms surrounding Roberts involved allegations that she could be difficult behind the scenes. Over the years, multiple reports described tensions with co-stars, directors, and industry colleagues. Those stories gained renewed attention during her highly publicized feud with actress Nick Nolte while filming I Love Trouble in the 1990s. According to numerous interviews and reports, the relationship between the two stars deteriorated so badly that they reportedly struggled to work together. Roberts later described Nolte as completely disgusting in an interview, while Nolte responded by claiming Roberts was not a nice person. The feud became one of Hollywood's most infamous on-set conflicts and continued making headlines long after the film left theaters. Critics pointed to the incident as evidence that Roberts' off-screen personality differed sharply from the warm and approachable image she projected in public. Supporters argued that difficult working relationships are common in Hollywood and that one feud should not define an entire career. Julia Roberts remains one of the most celebrated actresses of her generation. But for many critics, the stories from behind the scenes revealed a side of America's sweetheart that audiences rarely got to see. 21. Jennifer Lopez. Few entertainers have remained at the top of music, film, and fashion as long as Jennifer Lopez. Over decades, she transformed herself from a performer into a global brand recognized around the world. Wealth and luxury followed every step of that success. Jennifer's net worth was estimated at more than $400 million. Her assets included a $42 million Bel Air mansion, a luxury Hamptons estate, and a fleet of Rolls-Royce vehicles featuring a Phantom, a Dawn, and a Ghost. She also built a multi-million-dollar beauty empire through J.Lo Beauty and maintained close ties with luxury fashion houses, such as Versace. Among her most prized possessions were rare, Hermes Birkin handbags worth tens of thousands of dollars each. By then, Lopez had become one of the most successful celebrity entrepreneurs in entertainment. Yet some of the people around her painted a far less flattering picture. Over the years, Jennifer Lopez developed a reputation for being demanding behind the scenes. Stories from former assistants, service workers, and industry insiders repeatedly surfaced online, describing difficult interactions and high expectations. One of the most widely discussed allegations involved claims that Lopez would sometimes refuse direct communication with staff, choosing instead to speak through assistants even in simple situations. The criticism intensified whenever former employees and hospitality workers shared stories about encounters with the superstar. Several accounts described strict rules, last-minute demands, and behavior some interpreted as dismissive toward people working behind the scenes. While many of these stories were difficult to independently verify, they spread widely across tabloids, entertainment programs, and social media platforms. Supporters argued that Lopez's standards reflected the discipline required to maintain a decades-long career at the highest level. Critics saw something different. To them, the stories reinforced an image of a celebrity whose perfectionism often crossed into arrogance. Jennifer Lopez remains one of the most successful entertainers of her generation. But for many critics, the stories surrounding her behavior behind the scenes became almost as famous as her achievements on stage and screen. 20. Reese Witherspoon. Few actresses have transformed Hollywood success into business success as effectively as Reese Witherspoon. Known for films like Legally Blonde and Walk the Line, she eventually became one of the most powerful women in entertainment. Years of success transformed Reese into one of America's wealthiest actresses. Her fortune was estimated at more than $440 million. She built a massive media empire through Hello Sunshine, the production company behind hits such as Big Little Lies and The Morning Show, and expanded her brand with Draper James. Her assets included luxury properties in Brentwood, Nashville, and Malibu, while her garage featured a Porsche Cayenne Turbo and a Range Rover Sport. By then, Reese had become one of the most successful actress entrepreneurs in Hollywood. The image she spent years building would soon face an unexpected challenge. In 2013, Reese and her then-husband Jim Toth were pulled over in Atlanta after police observed Toth driving erratically and suspected he was under the influence. What initially appeared to be a routine traffic stop quickly escalated when Reese became involved in the interaction. According to police reports and dashcam footage later released to the public, Reese repeatedly questioned the officer and challenged his authority during the arrest. At one point, she famously asked, "Do you know my name?" and allegedly suggested that the officer would soon find out who she was. The footage quickly spread across television news programs and online platforms, generating widespread criticism. For many viewers, the incident stood in stark contrast to the relatable and down-to-earth image Reese had cultivated throughout her career. The arrest became one of the most talked-about celebrity controversies of the year, with commentators accusing her of entitlement and celebrity privilege. Supporters argued she was protecting her husband during a stressful situation and later took responsibility for her actions. Critics believe the incident revealed how some celebrities expected special treatment when confronted by law enforcement. Reese Witherspoon remains one of Hollywood's most respected actresses and producers. But for many critics, that brief roadside encounter exposed a side of the star that audiences had never seen before. 19. Naomi Campbell. Long before social media created a new generation of influencers, Naomi Campbell helped define what a supermodel looked like. As one of fashion's most recognizable faces, she dominated runways, magazine covers, and luxury campaigns for decades. The rewards of that success were extraordinary. Naomi's net worth was estimated at more than $90 million. Her assets reportedly included the futuristic Capitol Hill residence in Moscow and the famous Eye of Horus eco-mansion in Turkey. For travel, she relied on a customized Range Rover autobiography, while her private fashion archive featured bespoke creations from Chanel, Versace, and Dior. Lucrative contracts with luxury brands such as Fendi and Burberry helped cement her status as one of fashion's most valuable icons. By then, Campbell had become one of the most influential supermodels in history. Yet behind the glamour and designer labels, Naomi's reputation was repeatedly overshadowed by controversy. Throughout the 2000s, Campbell became notorious for a series of highly publicized incidents involving employees and personal assistants. The most infamous allegations centered on claims that she physically assaulted staff members during heated outbursts. In one widely reported case, authorities alleged that Campbell threw a mobile phone at her housekeeper, striking her in the head and requiring medical treatment. The incident led to criminal charges and international headlines. It wasn't an isolated controversy. Over the years, multiple former employees accused Campbell of aggressive behavior, resulting in several legal disputes and settlements. Tabloids eagerly followed each new allegation, creating an image of a superstar whose temper often overshadowed her accomplishments. Supporters argued that many stories were exaggerated by the media and that Campbell later took responsibility for her actions. Critics saw a pattern that repeatedly damaged her public image and reinforced her reputation as one of fashion's most difficult stars. Naomi Campbell remains one of the most influential supermodels of all time. But for many critics, the controversies surrounding her behavior became nearly as famous as her legendary career. 18. Sean Penn. Few actors have built a career as intense and unpredictable as Sean Penn. An Academy Award winner known for films such as Mystic River and Milk, he earned a reputation as one of Hollywood's most respected and controversial performers. Success brought Penn a fortune estimated at more than $70 million. His assets included a sprawling Malibu compound on Point Dume, featuring a guest house, art studio, and private pool. He was often seen driving a customized Nissan Titan truck and a BMW 7 Series luxury sedan. Beyond acting, Penn expanded his interests through Clyde is Hungry Productions and personally financed documentary and journalism projects in some of the world's most dangerous conflict zones. By then, he had become one of Hollywood's most influential actors and filmmakers. Yet Sean Penn's reputation was shaped as much by his temper as by his talent. One of the most damaging controversies of his career involved allegations of abusive behavior during his turbulent marriage to Madonna in the 1980s. For decades, stories circulated claiming Penn had physically assaulted the pop superstar during a violent domestic dispute. The allegations became deeply embedded in Hollywood gossip and tabloid culture, severely damaging his public image. Although Madonna later publicly denied some of the most extreme claims and defended Penn against accusations that he had tied her up for hours, the controversy never fully disappeared. Reports of angry confrontations with photographers, explosive outbursts, and aggressive behavior toward members of the media only added to his reputation as one of Hollywood's most volatile stars. The backlash intensified whenever old allegations resurfaced in documentaries, interviews, or online discussions. Critics argued that Penn's history of confrontations revealed a pattern of behavior that should not be ignored. Supporters countered that many claims had been exaggerated, disputed, or taken out of context over the years. Sean Penn remains one of the most acclaimed actors of his generation, but for many critics, the controversies surrounding his temper continue to cast a shadow over an otherwise remarkable career. 17. Christian Bale. Few actors have transformed themselves for roles as dramatically as Christian Bale. From American Psycho to the Dark Knight trilogy, his commitment to acting earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most respected performers. Despite maintaining a famously private lifestyle, Bale accumulated a fortune estimated at more than $120 million. His assets included a $13 million Brentwood mansion and a coastal ranch near Santa Monica. His garage reflected a mix of practicality and luxury, featuring a Toyota Tacoma, a Tesla Model S, and a Porsche Cayenne. Combined with lucrative profit-sharing agreements from blockbuster franchises such as the Dark Knight trilogy, Bale became one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors. Then one incident changed how many people viewed him behind the scenes. In 2008, while filming Terminator Salvation, Bale became involved in one of Hollywood's most infamous on-set confrontations. After director of photography Shane Hurlbut reportedly walked through Bale's line of sight during a scene, the actor exploded into a profanity-filled tirade that lasted several minutes. The recording, later leaked to the public, captured Bale repeatedly shouting at Hurlbut, demanding to know why he had interrupted the scene. At one point, he threatened to quit production if the behavior continued. The audio quickly spread across news programs, radio shows, and websites around the world, becoming one of the most talked-about celebrity leaks of the year. For many listeners, the outburst was shocking because it clashed with Bale's relatively quiet public image. The incident sparked debates about professionalism, artistic pressure, and whether intense performers should be judged differently while working on set. Supporters argued that Bale was deeply committed to his craft and reacting to a disruption during a critical scene. Critics believe the recording revealed an actor whose perfectionism had crossed the line into intimidation. Christian Bale remains one of the most acclaimed actors of his generation, but for many critics, that leaked outburst revealed a side of the Oscar winner that audiences had never expected to hear. 16. James Corden. For years, James Corden was one of television's most recognizable late-night personalities. Through The Late Late Show and the hugely successful Carpool Karaoke series, he built a global audience and became one of the most visible entertainers on American television. The success of that career brought considerable wealth. Corden's net worth was estimated at more than $70 million. His assets included a $22 million Brentwood mansion in Los Angeles and the historic Templecombe House estate in the United Kingdom. His garage reportedly featured an Aston Martin Vanquish, a Porsche Taycan, and a customized Range Rover Sport. Beyond television, he expanded his fortune through Fulwell 73, the production company behind The Late Late Show, and several major music documentaries. By then, Corden had become one of television's most successful entertainers. Not everyone who encountered him away from the camera shared the public's enthusiasm. In 2022, restaurant owner Keith McNally publicly accused Corden of being an abusive customer at New York's famous Balthazar restaurant. McNally claimed staff members had experienced multiple incidents involving rude behavior and unreasonable complaints, describing Corden as one of the most difficult customers his restaurant had ever served. The accusations quickly went viral after McNally announced that Corden had been temporarily banned from the restaurant. According to the restaurant owner's account, one dispute involved complaints about an egg dish, while another allegedly centered on mistakes with his wife's meal. Screenshots of the accusations spread rapidly across social media and entertainment news outlets, generating widespread criticism. The backlash intensified as former stories about Corden's behavior resurfaced online. Numerous hospitality workers, television employees, and industry insiders shared similar accounts, creating a growing perception that the cheerful personality seen on television differed dramatically from the person encountered behind the scenes. Supporters argued that everyone has bad days and noted that Corden later apologized publicly. Critics believe the restaurant controversy simply confirmed years of rumors about arrogance and entitlement. James Corden remains a successful television personality and producer. But for many critics, the Balthazar controversy became the moment when his public image began to unravel. 15. Tobey Maguire. For millions of moviegoers, Tobey Maguire will always be remembered as the original Spider-Man. The blockbuster trilogy made him one of Hollywood's biggest stars and helped launch a career that generated tens of millions of dollars. While largely staying out of the spotlight, Maguire quietly built a fortune estimated at more than $75 million. His assets included a $15 million Brentwood compound and a valuable investment property in Santa Monica. His garage reportedly featured a Tesla Model S Plaid and a blacked-out Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. Beyond acting, he expanded his wealth through material pictures and a portfolio of investments in technology and wellness companies. By then, Maguire had become one of Hollywood's most successful actor investors. Yet some of the most damaging stories about Toby had nothing to do with movies. For years, Maguire's name was linked to Hollywood's secret world of high-stakes, underground poker games. The controversy exploded after details emerged about exclusive private tournaments attended by celebrities, wealthy businessmen, and professional gamblers. According to court filings and multiple reports, Maguire was allegedly one of the most dominant players in these games, winning millions of dollars over several years. The allegations gained even more attention following lawsuits connected to financier Bradley Ruderman's massive Ponzi scheme. Court documents claimed some poker winnings had originated from money tied to fraudulent investments, leading trustees to seek recovery of funds from several participants, including Maguire. While he was never accused of participating in the fraud itself, his involvement in the exclusive poker scene generated widespread media attention. The story later inspired elements of the film Molly's Game, where reports described an ultra-competitive celebrity player widely believed to have been partially based on Maguire. Accounts portrayed a wealthy actor who allegedly enjoyed humiliating opponents and controlling the atmosphere at the table. Supporters argued that Maguire simply participated in legal private poker games and was never charged with any crime. Critics believe the reports reinforced an image of arrogance and privilege far removed from the friendly superhero many fans remembered. Tobey Maguire remains one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors, but for many critics, the poker controversy revealed a side of the former Spider-Man that audiences had never expected to see. 14. Edward Norton. Few actors have earned a reputation for intelligence and versatility quite like Edward Norton. From Fight Club to American History X, he became one of Hollywood's most respected performers, while quietly building a fortune far beyond the film industry. Unlike many celebrities, much of Norton's wealth came from business rather than acting. His net worth was estimated at more than $300 million. 5. His assets included John Lautner's iconic Stevens House in Malibu, and a luxury Manhattan penthouse overlooking the New York skyline. His garage reportedly featured a Tesla Roadster and a BMW Active Hybrid 7. Beyond real estate, Norton co-founded CrowdRise before its multi-million-dollar sale to GoFundMe and became an early investor in Uber, helping transform him into one of Hollywood's most successful actor investors. By then, he had accumulated influence in both entertainment and technology. But Norton's talent was often accompanied by a reputation that frustrated directors and studio executives. Throughout his career, Norton became known for demanding an unusually high level of creative control over projects. Reports from multiple productions described frequent disagreements over scripts, editing decisions, and the overall direction of films. One of the most publicized examples came after The Incredible Hulk in 2008. According to numerous reports, Norton pushed extensively for changes to the screenplay and reportedly clashed with Marvel executives over the final cut of the film. Tensions allegedly became so significant that Marvel chose not to bring him back for future appearances, eventually replacing him with Mark Ruffalo in The Avengers. The decision shocked many fans and fueled years of speculation about what had happened behind the scenes. The controversy reinforced stories that had followed Norton for years, portraying him as an actor deeply committed to his work but often difficult to collaborate with. Industry insiders frequently debated whether his perfectionism improved films or created unnecessary conflict. Supporters argued that Norton simply cared deeply about artistic quality and fought to protect the integrity of his projects. Critics believed his insistence on control made him one of Hollywood's most challenging stars to work with. Edward Norton remains one of the most talented actors of his generation. But for many critics, his reputation for creative battles became almost as famous as the performances that made him a star. 13. Russell Crowe. Few actors have experienced a rise to fame quite like Russell Crowe. After winning an Academy Award for Gladiator, he became one of Hollywood's most sought-after leading men and one of the defining stars of his era. The success of that career brought Crowe a fortune estimated at more than $120 million. His assets included a 1,400-acre cattle ranch in Nana Glen, Australia, and a luxury Sydney Harbour penthouse with private yacht access. His vehicle collection reportedly featured a Mercedes-Benz S-Class and a customized Toyota Land Cruiser built for life on his ranch. Beyond acting, Crowe held a major stake in the South Sydney Rabbitohs Rugby Club and amassed a valuable collection of historical artwork, movie memorabilia, and rare guitars. By then, he had become one of the most successful actors in the world. Yet Russell Crowe's reputation was often overshadowed by his explosive temper. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in 2005 at New York's Mercer Hotel. According to police reports, Crowe became furious after experiencing problems making an international phone call. The situation escalated when he allegedly threw a telephone at a hotel employee, striking the worker in the face and causing injuries that required medical treatment. The actor was arrested and charged following the incident, generating headlines around the world. Images of Crowe being escorted by police quickly spread across television news, broadcasts, and newspapers. For many observers, the episode reinforced years of stories portraying him as volatile and prone to angry outbursts, both on and off film sets. The controversy became one of the defining scandals of his career. Media outlets revisited earlier reports of confrontations with journalists, photographers, and colleagues, creating an image of a star whose temper frequently overshadowed his accomplishments. Supporters argued that Crowe later accepted responsibility for the incident and worked to repair the damage. Critics believe the hotel episode confirmed a long-standing pattern of aggressive behavior that had followed him for years. Russell Crowe remains one of the most accomplished actors of his generation. But for many critics, the image of the Oscar winner throwing a phone in a moment of rage became almost as memorable as the performances that made him famous. 12. Chrissy Teigen. Few celebrities have successfully turned social media fame into a business empire the way Chrissy Teigen did. From modeling and television appearances to best-selling cookbooks and lifestyle branding, she built a massive audience that extended far beyond Hollywood. Her success translated into a fortune estimated at more than $75 million. Chrissy's assets included a $17 million Beverly Hills mansion, once owned by Rihanna, and a luxury vacation home in Montecito. Her garage reportedly featured a Tesla Model X, a Cadillac Escalade, and a Range Rover autobiography. Beyond real estate, she expanded her wealth through Cravings by Chrissy Teigen, a multi-million-dollar lifestyle and cookware brand sold through major retailers such as Target. By then, she had become one of the most successful celebrity entrepreneurs on social media. The carefully curated image began to unravel when old tweets resurfaced online. In 2021, model and television personality Courtney Stodden publicly revealed that Teigen had sent a series of cruel messages years earlier, including comments encouraging Stodden to harm themselves. Screenshots and archived posts quickly spread across social media, sparking outrage and drawing renewed attention to Teigen's online behavior. As the controversy grew, internet users uncovered additional tweets in which Teigen mocked or insulted other public figures. The backlash was immediate. Major headlines questioned how someone known for humor and relatability could have posted messages many considered bullying and deeply inappropriate. Several business partnerships came under pressure, public appearances were canceled, and her reputation suffered significant damage. The scandal dominated entertainment news for weeks. Critics accused Teigen of using her large platform to target vulnerable individuals, while others argued her comments reflected a broader culture of online harassment that had long gone unchecked. Supporters noted that the tweets were years old and pointed to Teigen's public apologies and efforts to take responsibility for her actions. Critics believe the controversy exposed a much darker side of the celebrity persona she had carefully cultivated online. Chrissy Teigen remains a successful author, entrepreneur, and media personality. But for many critics, the resurfaced messages permanently changed the way they viewed one of social media's most influential celebrities. 11. Chevy Chase. Few comedians left a bigger mark on American comedy than Chevy Chase. As one of the original stars of Saturday Night Live and the face of hit films such as Caddyshack, National Lampoon's Vacation, and Fletch, he became one of the most recognizable comedy actors of his generation. The success of that career brought Chase a fortune estimated at more than $50 million. His assets included a sprawling estate in Bedford, New York, where he spent much of his time away from Hollywood. He was known for enjoying a comfortable lifestyle supported by decades of television and film success, while continuing to earn royalties from some of comedy's most enduring franchises. By then, Chase had become one of the most influential comedians in entertainment history, yet behind the laughter, many colleagues described a very different personality. For decades, Chase developed a reputation as one of the most difficult stars in Hollywood. Stories about conflicts with fellow actors, writers, and producers followed him throughout his career, but the controversy reached a new level during his time on the television series Community. Multiple cast members and crew reportedly described Chase as rude, dismissive, and frequently argumentative behind the scenes. His relationship with creator Dan Harmon deteriorated so badly that both men exchanged public insults and private voicemails that later became public. Reports also surfaced alleging inappropriate comments and offensive remarks made during production, creating tension among cast and staff members. The situation became so toxic that Chase eventually left the series before its conclusion. Former colleagues continued discussing difficult experiences working with him, while stories from Saturday Night Live, film sets, and television productions resurfaced in interviews and documentaries. Over time, those accounts helped cement his reputation as one of the entertainment industry's most challenging personalities. Supporters argued that Chase's blunt sense of humor was often misunderstood and that many stories were exaggerated over the years. Critics believe the sheer number of complaints from different coworkers pointed to a long-standing pattern of behavior. Chevy Chase remains one of the most influential comedians in American entertainment, but for many critics, his reputation for alienating coworkers became almost as famous as the comedy career that made him a star. 10. Bill Murray. Few comedians have built a legacy as unusual and beloved as Bill Murray. From Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day to Lost in Translation, he became one of Hollywood's most recognizable and unconventional stars. The rewards of that success extended far beyond the screen. Murray's net worth was estimated at more than $140 million. His assets included a secluded mansion overlooking New York's Hudson River and a historic home in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. His garage reportedly featured a Mercedes-Benz E-Class wagon and a customized Volkswagen camper van. Beyond acting, he held ownership stakes in several minor league baseball teams and generated millions through his William Murray golf apparel brand. By then, he had become one of entertainment's most successful and eccentric personalities. Yet behind the laid-back image, stories about Murray's behavior on set had circulated for years. The controversy reached a new level in 2022 when production on the film, Being Mortal, was suddenly suspended following a complaint about Murray's conduct. Reports later suggested the complaint involved behavior that was considered inappropriate by a female crew member. While details remain disputed, the incident immediately attracted widespread media attention and triggered an internal investigation. The shutdown shocked many people in Hollywood. Not only did it halt production, but it also reignited years of stories describing Murray as unpredictable, difficult, and occasionally intimidating behind the scenes. Former colleagues had previously spoken about volatile moods, unexpected confrontations, and behavior that sometimes left coworkers uncomfortable. As headlines spread, public opinion quickly divided. Some observers argued that Murray's eccentric personality had long been excused because of his fame and popularity. Others believed the situation was being exaggerated and lacked important context. Supporters pointed to his decades of charitable work, generosity, and positive relationships throughout the industry. Critics argued that repeated stories from different productions suggested a pattern that deserved closer scrutiny. Bill Murray remains one of the most beloved comedians of his generation, but for many critics, the controversy surrounding Being Mortal raised questions about whether Hollywood had overlooked troubling behavior for far too long. 9. Steven Seagal. Few action stars embraced the tough guy image as completely as Steven Seagal. During the late 1980s and 90s, films such as Above the Law, Hard to Kill, and Under Siege turned him into one of Hollywood's most recognizable martial arts heroes. His larger-than-life persona extended well beyond the movies. Seagal's net worth was estimated at more than $16 million. His assets included a fortified Arizona estate featuring bulletproof glass and extensive security systems, as well as a luxury villa in Russia. His vehicle collection reportedly featured a bulletproof Ford Excursion and a military-style Hummer H1. Beyond acting, He generated income through his Lightning Bolt energy drink brand and international Aikido training ventures. By then, Seagal had become one of the most recognizable action stars of his era. Yet behind the action hero image, controversy followed him for decades. One of the most damaging allegations emerged in 2010 when multiple women publicly accused Seagal of sexual harassment and inappropriate conduct. Former employees and aspiring actresses claimed they had been invited to private auditions or meetings that allegedly turned into uncomfortable encounters. Several women described patterns of behavior they believed were designed to exploit his celebrity status and influence within the entertainment industry. The allegations quickly attracted national media attention. Lawsuits were filed, interviews aired, and former associates began sharing their own accounts of working with the actor. Although some cases were later dismissed or settled, the accusations severely damaged Seagal's public image and reignited scrutiny over his behavior behind the scenes. The controversy intensified as additional allegations surfaced over the following years. Critics argued that the number of accusations raised serious concerns about how he treated women throughout his career. Supporters maintained that many claims remained unproven and that accusations alone should not determine public judgment. Steven Seagal's reputation suffered further as Hollywood increasingly distanced itself from the actor. Major film roles became less frequent, and much of the discussion surrounding his name shifted away from his movies and toward the controversies themselves. Steven Seagal remains one of the most recognizable martial arts stars in film history, but for many critics, the allegations that followed him for years ultimately overshadowed the action hero image that made him famous. 8. Faye Dunaway. Few actresses embodied old Hollywood glamour quite like Faye Dunaway. With unforgettable performances in films such as Bonnie and Clyde, Network, and Chinatown, she became one of the most acclaimed stars of her generation. The success of that career brought Dunaway a fortune estimated at more than $40 million. Her assets included a longtime Hollywood Hills property and a luxury apartment on Manhattan's Upper West Side. She was often associated with premium vehicles such as a Mercedes-Benz S-Class and a Jaguar XJ. Beyond real estate, Dunaway maintained an extensive collection of vintage Valentino and Armani couture, along with a private fine art collection featuring original photographs and paintings worth millions of dollars. By then, she had become one of Hollywood's most celebrated screen legends. Yet behind the elegance and prestige, stories about her behavior followed her for decades. Throughout her later career, Dunaway developed a reputation for being exceptionally difficult to work with. Directors, producers, assistants, and even fellow actors occasionally described volatile behavior, emotional outbursts, and demanding treatment behind the scenes. While rumors had circulated in Hollywood for years, the criticism reached a new level in 2019. That year, Dunaway was abruptly dismissed from a planned Broadway production of Tea at Fa, a one-woman play based on the life of Katharine Hepburn. Producers alleged that rehearsals had become increasingly difficult due to repeated conflicts and disruptive behavior. Reports claimed cast and crew members felt intimidated, while some described frequent outbursts during production meetings and rehearsals. The story quickly made national headlines because it reinforced an image that had followed Dunaway for much of her career. Former colleagues began sharing stories of difficult working experiences, adding fuel to the controversy. For many observers, the Broadway dispute appeared to confirm long-standing rumors about her temperament. Supporters argued that Dunaway's perfectionism was often misunderstood and that strong personalities are common in the entertainment industry. Critics believe the repeated allegations revealed a pattern that had damaged professional relationships for years. Faye Dunaway remains one of the greatest actresses of her generation, but for many critics, her reputation for difficult behavior became almost as legendary as the performances that made her a Hollywood icon. 7. Christina Aguilera. Few singers defined the pop music landscape of the 2000s quite like Christina Aguilera. With powerhouse vocals, multiple Grammy Awards, and global chart-topping hits, she established herself as one of the most successful artists of her generation. The rewards of that success were substantial. Aguilera's net worth was estimated at more than $160 million. Her assets included a Mediterranean-style mansion in Beverly Hills' exclusive Mulholland Estates and a contemporary Beverly Hills compound worth more than $20 million. Her garage reportedly featured a Rolls-Royce Phantom and a customized Range Rover Sport. Beyond real estate, She generated millions through her successful fragrance empire, including popular releases such as Xtina and Moonlight Bloom, developed in partnership with Elizabeth Arden. By then, Aguilera had become one of the most successful entertainers in the music industry. Yet behind the platinum records and glamorous image, stories about her attitude began attracting attention. Over the years, Aguilera developed a reputation among some industry insiders for being difficult to work with. Former colleagues, production staff, and entertainment reporters occasionally described her as demanding, dismissive, or unwilling to accommodate others behind the scenes. While many of these stories remained largely confined to industry circles, they resurfaced repeatedly throughout her career. One of the most widely discussed incidents involved allegations of tension between Aguilera and contestants during her time as a coach on The Voice. Reports claimed some participants felt intimidated by her behavior, while others suggested relationships behind the scenes were often strained. Rumors of conflicts with fellow coaches and production staff further fueled public discussion about her reputation. The criticism intensified as former associates and entertainment outlets revisited stories portraying Aguilera as arrogant or difficult. Although many claims were based on personal experiences rather than formal complaints, they contributed to a growing perception that her off-camera personality differed significantly from the image fans saw in interviews and performances. Supporters argued that Aguilera's high standards reflected her perfectionism and commitment to excellence. Critics believed the repeated stories pointed to a pattern of behavior that had followed her for years. Christina Aguilera remains one of the most successful singers of her generation. But for many critics, the stories surrounding her behavior behind the scenes became almost as well known as the voice that made her famous. 6. Katherine Heigl. Few television stars rose to fame as quickly as Katherine Heigl. After breakout roles in Grey's Anatomy and Knocked Up, she became one of Hollywood's most in-demand actresses and commanded some of the industry's highest salaries. Success allowed Heigl to build a fortune estimated at more than $30 million. Her assets included a 25-acre mountain ranch in Park City, Utah, and a luxury Los Feliz estate in Los Angeles. Her garage reportedly featured an Audi Q7 and a Range Rover autobiography. Beyond acting, she invested millions into the Jason Debus Heigl Foundation, her animal welfare organization, while also expanding into lifestyle and home decor ventures. By then, she had become one of television's most recognizable stars. Yet her career would soon become a cautionary tale about the dangers of public criticism in Hollywood. The controversy began in 2008 when Heigl withdrew herself from Emmy consideration for Grey's Anatomy, publicly stating that she did not believe she had been given material worthy of a nomination. The comment immediately generated headlines and was widely interpreted as criticism of the show's writers and producers. The backlash intensified when stories emerged describing Heigl as difficult behind the scenes. Industry reports claimed she frequently complained about long production hours and creative decisions, while some colleagues allegedly grew frustrated with her public comments. Her reputation suffered even further after she criticized Knocked Up, describing aspects of the film as portraying women negatively and men as immature. What made the situation especially damaging was that the criticism appeared directed at the very projects that had made her famous. Producers, directors, and studio executives reportedly began viewing Heigl as a potential risk, and discussions about her attitude increasingly overshadowed her acting achievements. Supporters argued that Heigl was simply being honest and standing by her personal beliefs. Critics believed her repeated public comments demonstrated a lack of professionalism and damaged important industry relationships. Katherine Heigl remains a successful actress with a loyal fan base. But for many critics, her career became one of Hollywood's most famous examples of how quickly public perception can change when a star openly challenges the people behind their success. 5. David O. Russell. Few directors in modern Hollywood have produced as many acclaimed films as David O. Russell. With hits such as Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, and The Fighter, he built a reputation as one of the industry's most successful filmmakers. The success of those films helped Russell accumulate a fortune estimated at more than $80 million. His assets included a private architectural mansion in Santa Monica valued at over $15 million. His garage reportedly featured a Tesla Model S and a BMW 7 Series luxury sedan. Beyond real estate, He expanded his wealth through Anchoress Productions and lucrative profit-sharing agreements tied to several award-winning films. By then, Russell had become one of Hollywood's most influential directors. But his reputation behind the camera often generated as much attention as the movies themselves. One of the most infamous incidents occurred during the filming of I Heart Huckabees when footage surfaced showing a heated confrontation between Russell and actress Lily Tomlin. In the leaked video, the director could be seen shouting profanities, throwing objects, and aggressively arguing with the veteran actress after tensions escalated on set. The footage quickly spread online and shocked many viewers. For critics, it appeared to confirm long-standing stories describing Russell as volatile, unpredictable, and difficult to work with. Former collaborators and crew members shared additional accounts of angry outbursts, intense confrontations, and emotionally charged behavior during productions. The controversy followed him throughout much of his career. Reports of clashes with actors, crew members, and studio executives repeatedly resurfaced whenever a new project entered production. While many praised his ability to deliver award-winning performances from actors, others questioned whether the results justified the environment allegedly created behind the scenes. Supporters argued that Russell's demanding approach stemmed from a relentless pursuit of artistic excellence. Critics believe the repeated incidents reflected a pattern of behavior that crossed the line from passionate filmmaking into intimidation. David O. Russell remains one of the most acclaimed directors of his generation, but for many critics, the explosive moments captured behind the camera became nearly as memorable as the films that earned him fame. 4. Alec Baldwin. For decades, Alec Baldwin was one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces. From acclaimed film performances to his Emmy-winning television work and unforgettable appearances on Saturday Night Live, he built a career that kept him at the center of American entertainment for more than 40 years. Success brought Baldwin a fortune, estimated at more than $70 million. His assets included a luxury Hamptons estate and premium real estate holdings in New York City. His garage reportedly featured luxury vehicles such as a Cadillac Escalade and a Range Rover. Beyond acting, he earned millions through television contracts, film roles, endorsement deals, and production ventures. By then, Baldwin had become one of the most successful and influential actors in Hollywood. Yet his reputation was often overshadowed by his temper. Long before the tragedy surrounding Rust, Baldwin had become infamous for public confrontations with photographers, reporters, and even strangers. One of the most widely publicized incidents occurred in 2013 when he was arrested in New York after an argument with police officers who stopped him while riding a bicycle. Similar confrontations repeatedly generated headlines throughout the years. The criticism intensified as videos emerged showing Baldwin shouting at paparazzi, exchanging insults with reporters, and reacting angrily to media attention. In another notorious controversy, a leaked voicemail revealed Baldwin berating his young daughter during a family dispute, creating a major public relations disaster and drawing widespread criticism from both the public and fellow celebrities. As these incidents accumulated, many observers began viewing Baldwin as one of Hollywood's most volatile personalities. While his talent remained widely respected, stories about angry outbursts often overshadowed his professional achievements. Supporters argued that relentless media harassment would test anyone's patience and that many confrontations were taken out of context. Critics believed the repeated incidents revealed a pattern of arrogance and explosive behavior that followed him throughout his career. Alec Baldwin remains one of the most accomplished actors of his generation, but for many critics, the public confrontations and explosive outbursts became almost as memorable as the performances that made him famous. 3. Mike Myers. Mike Myers remains one of the most successful comedians in Hollywood history, but for many critics, the stories from behind the scenes revealed a far more complicated personality than the lovable characters that made him famous. Few comedians have left a bigger mark on popular culture than Mike Myers. From Wayne's World and Austin Powers to the Shrek franchise, he became one of the most successful comedy stars of his generation and earned hundreds of millions of dollars at the global box office. Years of success helped Myers build a fortune estimated at more than $200 million. His assets included luxury real estate holdings in New York and Los Angeles, along with a collection of premium vehicles reflecting his understated lifestyle. Beyond acting, he earned substantial income from the Shrek franchise, royalty agreements, and long-term licensing deals tied to some of comedy's most recognizable characters. By then, Myers had become one of Hollywood's wealthiest comedy stars. Yet behind the lovable characters and comedic image, stories about his behavior on set followed him for years. One of the most publicized controversies emerged during the production of The Cat in the Hat. Crew members and industry reports described Myers as highly demanding and extremely difficult to satisfy during filming. Similar stories surfaced from other productions, with some colleagues portraying him as controlling, perfectionistic, and challenging to work with behind the scenes. The criticism intensified after actress Amy Hill publicly discussed difficulties she experienced while working on The Cat in the Hat, describing a tense atmosphere on set. Other entertainment reports over the years echoed similar claims, suggesting Myers often demanded extensive control over creative decisions and frequently clashed with collaborators when projects failed to meet his expectations. As these stories accumulated, an image began to emerge that differed sharply from the cheerful personalities audiences associated with his films. Industry insiders regularly debated whether his perfectionism helped create memorable comedy or unnecessarily complicated productions. Supporters argued that Myers' attention to detail was responsible for many of his greatest successes and that demanding standards are common among elite performers. Critics believe the repeated accounts pointed to a pattern of difficult behavior that affected coworkers throughout his career. 2. Ellen DeGeneres. Few television personalities ever reached the level of influence Ellen DeGeneres enjoyed during her peak years. With millions of viewers tuning in daily, The Ellen DeGeneres Show became one of the most successful programs in daytime television history. The rewards of that success were enormous. Ellen's net worth was estimated at more than $500 million. Her assets included the $49 million Saltzman estate in Montecito and a Beverly Hills mansion later sold to Adam Levine for $45 million. Her garage reportedly featured a Ferrari Roma, a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, and a customized Land Rover Defender. Beyond television, she expanded her fortune through Ellen DeGeneres, a lifestyle and home decor brand that generated millions in retail and licensing revenue. By then, she had become one of the most successful businesswomen in entertainment. The image she spent years building would soon face its biggest challenge. In 2020, a series of reports from former employees triggered a major scandal surrounding The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Staff members alleged a toxic workplace culture marked by intimidation, favoritism, and fear. Some claimed workplace complaints were ignored, while others described an environment where employees felt uncomfortable speaking openly about problems behind the scenes. The controversy escalated when Warner Media launched an internal investigation into the show's workplace culture. Investigators interviewed dozens of current and former employees, examining allegations involving senior producers and management practices. As details emerged, public scrutiny intensified. Several top producers eventually departed the program following misconduct allegations, while headlines questioning the show's culture dominated entertainment news for weeks. For many observers, the accusations clashed sharply with Ellen's public image. The host had built her brand around positivity and kindness, making the allegations particularly damaging. Social media quickly filled with criticism, and stories from former staff members continued generating negative attention long after the investigation began. Supporters argued that Ellen could not personally oversee every aspect of a large production and was unfairly blamed for the actions of others. Critics believe the investigation exposed a significant gap between the image presented on television and the culture allegedly experienced behind the scenes. Ellen DeGeneres remains one of television's most successful personalities. But for many critics, the Warner Media investigation permanently changed how they viewed the woman who spent years encouraging others to be kind. 1. Harvey Weinstein. For decades, Harvey Weinstein was one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. Through Miramax and later the Weinstein Company, he helped produce and distribute award-winning films that dominated the Academy Awards and launched countless careers. At his peak, few people in the entertainment industry wielded more influence. The wealth that came with that power was extraordinary. Before his downfall, Weinstein's fortune was estimated at more than $300 million. His assets included a luxury oceanfront estate in the Hamptons and a historic townhouse in Manhattan's West Village. He traveled in executive vehicles such as a Lexus LS and a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, while his influence extended through Miramax and the Weinstein Company, two studios that generated billions in revenue and shaped Hollywood for decades. By then, Weinstein had become one of the most powerful figures in the film industry. What happened next would trigger one of the most dramatic falls in entertainment history. In 2017, investigative reports published by the New York Times and the New Yorker revealed decades of allegations involving sexual misconduct, harassment, and assault. Dozens of women, including actresses, former employees, and industry professionals came forward with accusations describing a pattern of behavior that allegedly stretched back many years. The revelations sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Within days, Weinstein was dismissed from his own company, expelled from major industry organizations, and abandoned by many former allies. As more women publicly shared their experiences, the scandal expanded into a global conversation about abuse of power in the workplace. The movement soon became known worldwide as Me Too. The legal consequences were severe. Weinstein faced multiple criminal investigations and was ultimately convicted on serious sex crime charges in New York, receiving a lengthy prison sentence. Additional convictions and legal proceedings followed in other jurisdictions. Meanwhile, his companies collapsed into bankruptcy, luxury properties were sold, and much of his fortune disappeared through legal costs, settlements, and financial obligations. Supporters became increasingly rare, though some argued he deserved fair legal treatment and due process. Critics viewed the convictions as long overdue accountability for a man who had allegedly used power and influence to silence victims for years. Harvey Weinstein was once one of the most feared and influential figures in Hollywood, but for many observers, his downfall became the defining example of how quickly decades of wealth, status, and power can collapse when hidden allegations finally come to light. Have you ever wondered what happens when fame, fortune, and power become more important than reputation? From explosive on-set meltdowns and bitter celebrity feuds to workplace scandals, public humiliations, and careers damaged by arrogance, these were some of the biggest jerks Hollywood has ever produced. Some were accused of treating employees poorly. Others clashed with co-stars, photographers, or even entire industries. And while many remained rich and famous, their reputations never fully recovered. What do you think? Which celebrity on this list deserved their reputation the most? And was there anyone who was judged too harshly? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Hollywood stories, scandals, and behind-the-scenes secrets. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.